What's up, guys? So yesterday was a fantastic day. We got the Z running. I can't believe it. It started up with literally no issues. Well, the fact it's not idling perfectly right now, but I mean it started up after 3 cranks and it kind of blew my mind. It's fantastic. So now I don't feel so rushed. Now I can take some time and really get things dialed in. I'm pretty excited. But I wanted to start off the video by sharing some pretty big news. I don't really plan to make a big deal out of it. I don't want to clickbait or anything. Actually really upset about the situation, but it'll be better in the long run, and I realize that. So I guess just cutting to the chase, I sold my FD. So the FD is no longer here. A lot of you guys know I was unbelievably happy about getting an FD. It's been my dream build for years, and opportunity came when I could be able to buy one. And of course, I got a little screwed and got one that was a little bit worse in condition than I really anticipated it. I know a lot of you guys wanted to see me build that one, but in my head, I just couldn't justify putting money into that car. I want to build one FD, and I want to build it once, and I want to build it amazing, and that car was just not the base chassis for that. It's not that it was a bad chassis, it wasn't what I wanted. I figured long run, it'd be a lot better to just basically take somewhat of a loss on that car, save up some more money, and buy an initially cleaner chassis. It'll make me happier in the long term, because you guys know how picky I am with my car stuff, and I want it to be perfect. Well, not perfect, but up to my standards, and that chassis just wasn't for it. I hope the new owner has an amazing time with it. It seems like it's perfect for what he wants to do with it, and I'm happy for him. I'm actually really upset. It's like the first project I feel like I ever bailed on, but I'm not bailing on it. I'm just finding a new chassis. I know a lot of you guys are probably gonna say some things about how I should have just built that car, blah, blah, blah. In the long run, it'll be way worth it for me to just save up and initially buy a better chassis. Now that the FD is gone, I have an extra spot in my garage, and RJ really needed a spot for the meantime, so I'm letting him keep his Miata here for a while. And I love having RJ around. RJ's a great dude. He's funny as hell, and he helps me out a lot, as you guys could tell. So it's gonna be cool to see this one transform. I know a million YouTubers have messed with Miatas, but I'm down to mess with another one. So moving on from all the talking, FD's gone. We'll prevail. We'll get a nicer one soon, and we'll make that work. But got a lot to do on the Z now. I'm really excited that now I don't have to be so stressed out. We can really take our time and throw it together. I do want to get it like fully roadworthy in the next week, so we could actually just suck it up and take it out for a drive. I'd love to drive it back to my garage, but this freaking salt, dude, I don't know. Done talking, I rambled too much. So some packages actually came in for the Z today, which is really came in a lot faster than I would ever expected. I'm really excited. So first thing, got my gauges, well, 2 of them. So I got my boost gauge and my coolant temp sensor, which is fantastic. So we could probably get these in today if everything works out. And then this big old box should be something really small. I couldn't find a really good gauge pod that fits the right-hand drive Z32. So I ordered a generic single DIN for underneath your radio, and we're gonna make this work, or I'll at least try to. Look at this packaging, and then look at this box. Unreal. Oh, there it is. The new shift boot. As you guys might remember, when I put the shift boot in, I kept complaining about how nasty and old it is. Here's a new one. So this one is just like a generic eBay one, but it's supposed to be real leather, and it seems actually a lot nicer quality than one. I think it was like $15 shipped. It actually seems really nice. What the hell is this? Oh, and then these are new inner tie rods, because I'm not happy with the inner tie rods that I bought. Yeah, these should do the trick. I wish I got this before, but it's too late now. So if anyone wants to use this discount code, that's all you. Okay, so just did some more part acquiring so we can get more things done. So I got this thermostatic fan control, and so this will basically turn my fans on when it hits a certain temperature to basically maintain an optimal temperature for the car, so I don't have to keep switching it on and off manually. This is just like an AutoZone kit, and it seems stupid easy to use. I don't know the quality of it, but I'm definitely down to try it. This one, instead of having to plumb it into your piping, you could basically just stick the rod in the radiator fan, which is really cool. So we're gonna see how that works. It was also pretty cheap. Also got a new O2 sensor for the AM gauge, and some coolant. So we're gonna wait until Justin's not too busy. We'll go down there, start wrench on the Z. I just don't really want to get in his way, but in the meantime, I'm just gonna hang out and play some GTA. So we're at Justin's shop, and he's finishing up some daily maintenance today. But Gauges in, so we're gonna get them on. I wanna get my coolant temp one on first because that's the most important for now, and this is pretty easy. Our little sensor right here, we'll focus on it. Basically gotta stick this somewhere in the cooling system. The best place is right out of the head because that's your most accurate measurement. Now, a lot of them are just a 1 wire. It's a lot easier to run. This happens to be a 2 wire, so it might be more pain in the ass. Now, it has quick disconnects right here, but I don't wanna use these. These will look tacky in the engine bay. What I'm actually gonna do is I'm just gonna connect the harnesses together and just loom it so it looks nice, and then if I have to pull the engine or something, just pull the sensor out. Not a big deal, I don't need detachable. Much better. If I have to put this thing in the engine bay, at least I'll make it look nice. Since I got the ISR water neck, it has the tap fitting already built into it, which makes it like so easy. So I'm just gonna screw right in. So the sensor actually looks really nice in there, nice and polished and clean. The loom really makes this look good too. So I think the consensus is to run it across the front of the engine. Though it'll bulk it up a little bit more, it just looks better in general than trying to snake it underneath this side of the block. I really wish when I made the wire harness, I added this together, but too late now. All right, so the next is the boost gauge, and the boost gauge it's not a manual boost gauge, so the vacuum line doesn't have to go up to the back of the gauge. It actually has its own individual sensor, which I'm gonna hide underneath, but I need vacuum line to run from the intake into the cabin. But I'm gonna go out and get that later. I don't have any. What I'm gonna do now is just focus on getting the gauges actually mounted and wired into the car. We're gonna tuck this right here. My generic single DIN gauge pod holder. It's basically gonna mount where this brown thing is, hopefully. I hope it fits in here. And it doesn't. Well, it's not gonna fit. Kind of upset. This DIN is just too small. It seems like it'd probably only work if this was like a single open DIN, and I'm not about to cut this. I'd feel way too guilty. So in the meantime, AKA today, I'm gonna put the gauges in just like that, just so they're like in the car and wired up so we can see what it's doing. From there, I'm probably gonna come up with something that will mount this in place. All right, so when it comes to wiring the gauges, you have your wires that give it power, and then you have your wires that give it the signal for the sensor that it actually has. So power is easy, it's just 2 wires, power and ground. Sometimes they have it on the ACC to give it an extra function, but none of mine do. So we could basically put all 3 power harnesses right here into each other. They don't really draw a lot of amperage, so it's not gonna hurt to put them all in one source. Nice and simple. So to keep things just like simple and easy for now, I'm just gonna splice it into the radio power. The gauges don't really draw enough to really make it an issue at all. Got our ground and our power. All right, hopefully these work. Hey. Why are you flashing? Oh, because there's no gauges hooked up to them.
It's the new epilepsy series. And then Doug from next door.
Hi, everybody.
I'm putting the gauges in, aren't you?
Are you? Yeah. I was wondering why your entire center console that you just nicely, neatly put back together is now an atrocity.
RJ's over here dying at the fact of...
What did I tell you? I'm laughing because you're laughing at my stupid comments.
I don't know what to say. Okay, so we're moving on to the boost sensor. Here it is. So this is the wire, and then the solenoid is right here. So this is where we plug the vacuum line into, and this will read how much pressure is in our system, negative or positive. I hide the solenoid right underneath where everything else is shoved, and I'm gonna run a vacuum hose from the bay into the cabin. Well, this is all part. I'm gonna give RJ a challenge. Are you ready for?
I so faintly hear you talking in the car, and I heard I'm gonna give RJ a challenge.
Are you ready for a challenge, RJ?
I hope it's not wiring. Can we get the shift boot off? Oh, I can do this. Yes. I got this.
How'd you do?
I did pretty good. Ta-da! Bon appetit, new baby.
How'd it fit?
It fits fine.
Yeah?
It's a little tight trying to pull the stuff off, but I think that's how you
this
want
was
it.
an eBay one, so I was a little curious of how to fit, but
Trying to get this one here to get the holes to line up, like this one I really had to pull it, but...
Would you suggest it to a friend?
I would recommend it to 2 friends.
RJ did a fantastic job putting the shift boot on, and it was definitely worth the 20 bucks. Cleaned it up so much. Got the power wires and signal wires out. I put the AFR gauge sensor wire basically through the shift boot. It's just the easiest way to do it. Everyone does it. It's kind of half-assed, but it works. And we'll put the sensor in when we do the exhaust. But let's get these gauges in. Pretty happy how clean this came out. Usually the wiring for these things are all such a mess. Perfect. Like the style?
I like those. I like the two on the right better than the AM one.
I'm happy with that. That's definitely cool. Now I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do to hold the gauges in, because obviously I can't just have them sitting here.
Why not?
Super happy with these. That actually looks sick. You okay with her?
I'm sleepy.
All right, so I think what we're gonna tackle now is the fan switch. So this is really cool. This is gonna allow the radiator fans to kick on at 185 degrees, which is ideal temperature for the SR. This will make it so no one has to operate a switch. Ease of access, so if Steph just takes a car and she won't forget to turn the fans on, it won't overheat, and it'll be good. So this is nice. This was cheap. This is like 25 bucks from Advanced, and hope it's not a piece of crap. We have it set up. So the way this system works is this is a temperature switch, and what's nice about this is we don't actually have to plumb it into anything. You basically stick this through the fins of your radiator, and that's what kind of made this one appealing to me, just because it's so easy and just user friendly. Now this wire is supposed to go into a ignition source of power, which means when we turn the key on, it gets power. This one is the power going to the fans to make them rotate, and this one is the power coming off the chassis. And then of course this is our little baby ground. So the first thing we gotta do is figure out an ignition power somewhere in the front end so we don't have to run it all the way back. Justin's good idea was the radiator relay, or the radiator fan relay. This is the fan for the air condition. Since we got rid of the air conditioner, we could use this, and that has a ignition controlled power basically right here. So we're just gonna go right into this block to run our switch. Right here, temperature sensor. I'm gonna put this as close to this spot as possible because this is where all the hot water out of the head is coming, and it's the most accurate reading. So we just literally shoved this.
What am I recording? I can't see anything.
Oh, I feel so guilty doing this. Oh.
That's what she said.
Oh, that just ripped that fin out. We're good.
Jimmy, what just happened?
Drop the damn fitting in the radiator. Justin has all the tools. Come on, please. Yes, steel. Oh, we're stuck.
Be the crane.
I might need this in a second.
Woo!
Where'd that go?
Jimmy,
What's up?
I'm gonna leave in 3 minutes so I can go to bed.
As far as radiator fan wiring goes, I was able to use a OEM Nissan plug I had from the old harness right here. And then this is gonna be the male side of it. All I have to do is ground this one and put power to this one. All right, so that was ugly, it's all set. So we got our connector, so if we take the radiator off again, we don't have to like cut any wires. Grounded the fans, ran the power to the relay, relay's mounted, and then the main power from the chassis, I used the body harness up in here, and that is all set. Now this is all ugly and whatnot. I couldn't justify putting loom on it. You're not really gonna see it, but I do wanna do some cable guides when I get back to my shop and just make them run neatly, because it just looks half-assed loose like this. No one likes that. I know Justin doesn't like that. No. Exactly. So we're gonna tie that up later, but for now I think we're all set. So our temperature switch is done. So that wasn't that much, that probably wasn't much harder than just running a switch on. It was probably easier because I didn't have to go into the cabin. So for like 28 bucks, 25 bucks, what the hell it was, I'm pretty stoked. So now we're gonna see how it performs, and hopefully it could be positive for you guys. The gauges are basically done. I still gotta put the sensor in for the exhaust once you do that, and I gotta run the boost line to the cabin when I get some vacuum line, because it comes with like some cheap clear hose that just looks tacky. So we're not gonna do it. All right, so we're gonna fill it up. So I asked for non-mixed coolant and they gave me 50-50. What a waste. I'm paying for water. I just paid a lot of money for agua. Drink up, pretty girl. I really hope the drain plug is tight on the bottom.
That would suck.
All right, so Justin and I were kind of messing around, and we figured we really want to get the fuel pump to work like OEM. And now we decided to see if we could utilize the stock fuel pump relay and go from there. This has been a pretty good learning experience for me. So the whole purpose of the relay is basically like a switch, and it's a switch triggered by a power source. Justin, you want to explain it a little bit better than that?
Yeah, so in these cars, in most Nissans, there's a relay called the ECCS relay. That is the main relay for the car. When you turn your key on, that relay turns on the ECU, turns on the fuel pump, turns on some of the other accessories, and allows everything to function. Now, because Jimmy swapped over to the whole SR system with an SR ECU and SR engine harness, the ECCS relay has been bypassed for the most part. So
it doesn't need a trigger to turn all the stuff
Yeah.
on. It's basically always on.
yeah, so the SR stuff is going to be always on because we use the SR harness. Now, what we're doing here is we're going to integrate the SR computer with the factory 300ZX fuel pump relay so that the SR computer will now bypass the ECCS and actually turn the fuel pump on like it's supposed to in an S13.
And there it is. So what's perfect is our relay, basically our switch, is getting constant power. So essentially all we need is that trigger wire that flips the switch to allow the power to go on. So all we have to do now is find the trigger on the ECU pinout and connect that wire, so when I turn the car on, the ECU then sends a signal to the relay that switches the pump on. Easy as that. So this is good. Relay saving the day, because now we won't have a stupid switch on the radiator fans or on the fuel pump. No race car status here. Nice OEM plus.
Yes, sir.
So now that we have the ECU like fully exposed in the back, we go to the pinout diagram that I used a lot during making the wire harness. And as you can see, this picture is exactly what you're looking at right there. We look and we try and find the fuel pump relay. Sorry, it's unfocused. Which should be right here. And that's pinout 104. So we go up. There we go, 104 right here. And that's supposed to be, the color is, didn't look before, black and pink. So we come over here, wire 104, that's black and pink. So we're gonna cut this and basically just run this to the small black wire on the relay. And that's really it, that's all we have to do. All right, so it's wired now to the pinout on the ECU, and we're gonna send it underneath the dash to the relay. So now that I have the wire through, it took me literally forever. We gotta just basically splice this wire that came from the ECU to the trigger wire on our relay, which is the tiny one right here. And look at that, it's the same color as the one off the ECU. Nissan, you're pretty cool. Now that we have the wire spliced to the relay, it's time to see if it works. All right. There it is, you hear it buzzing away, and then it stops when it's supposed to, so it's not just freaking buzzing in our ear the whole time.
Exactly factory.
Exactly like factory. That's so sick. No stupid switch needed. One freaking wire. That's all it took. That's good news. There you go. That's sick. Easy as that. So nothing too crazy today, but it was some definitely must. And with the thermostatic switch and now the fuel pump actually running off of the ECU, the car is going to feel like an OEM car. It's not going to feel like some drift car we're trying to throw together. Having it operate on its own without switches is going to be such a great feel. And I'm really happy about it. It's going to be cool because I want to make this car so Steffi could steal it here and there and she doesn't have to worry about it. So I hope you guys got a good learning experience on that, because I know I did. Very, very simple, very, very easy, and I can't wait to see how it all performs. Finally got my gauges in. They look a lot better than I anticipated. Even I wasn't really like planning on having them have silver hoods on them, but it ended up looking really freaking cool. Even without the gauge pod, they sit in there tight and they look pretty good, but we'll make one soon, make them all sturdy, but in the meantime, they'll be all set. We actually had to order a flex pipe because we kind of completely forgot about it, because there's 1.5 million things to remember. I ordered a stainless steel flex pipe just because if we make the whole exhaust rigid, it's going to put too much stress on the turbo itself, most likely. So we need some flex in the system so we're not straining the turbo or any part of the exhaust. So that'll probably be on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. We'll get that all banged out and we'll have a full exhaust. Now in the meantime, our idle issue is mainly coming from our idle air control valve, and that is basically this system right here. It's basically taking air that's not accounted for on the MAF in the system, which causes it to lean out and die. So what we have to do is we do have to plumb that back into the system, and since we did it with the titanium, we didn't have the typical bung that we needed to go in here, like on how most pre-cut intercooler pipe kits come with. So what we did was we did find an aluminum bung to weld in that we could put a fitting on to now plumb that back into the intercooler piping to make the car run perfect. But in the meantime, we're getting there, and it's gonna be sick. And by the weekend, this thing will be dialed. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure to check out Justin's channel, because I've been barding his space and he's been teaching me a lot today. So it's fantastic. So vaping, welding, and knowledge.
Yeah, not so much vaping, more welding than anything.
More welding than anything, but it's sick. So link in the description. Always give him a sub, give him a view, give him a shout out, give him anything. So like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more content, and have a good night. Palm it.